Have you ever asked yourself how many dreams you've already buried because of waiting, delaying, and choosing comfort over action? Think about it. Somewhere inside you there was a spark, a vision, a plan you once promised yourself you would achieve, but laziness crept in. It whispered, "Not today, tomorrow will be better." And tomorrow became next week, then next month, then years. This is how laziness destroys lives, not in one loud strike, but in quiet moments of surrender, again and again, until the person you wanted to become is only a memory. Laziness is not harmless. It is not just lying down and scrolling your phone or wasting an hour here and there. Laziness is a slow poison. It makes you blind to opportunities. It steals your time while convincing you it is giving you rest. It makes you feel safe while it quietly robs your future. Every time you choose comfort over effort, you are not just postponing progress, you are killing your potential. Science tells us that the brain seeks the easiest path. When you avoid challenge, your brain rewards you with a temporary hit of dopamine. That's why it feels good in the moment to stay in bed, to delay, to skip the hard work. But this is a dangerous trap. You are training your brain to crave weakness. You are building a habit that chains you to the lowest version of yourself. The truth is simple. The more you feed laziness, the stronger it grows. And the stronger it grows, the harder it becomes to fight back. Think about the goals you set but never started. The book you never wrote, the body you never built, the skills you never learned. They are still waiting for you, untouched, because laziness stood in your way. That is why it is the real enemy, not failure, not rejection, not lack of talent, laziness. Because failure at least means you tried. Rejection means you showed up. Lack of talent can be fixed through practice, but laziness stops you before the battle even begins. You must call it out. Stop saying, "I'm tired." Stop saying, "I'll do it later." Those are excuses dressed as reasons. This is not exhaustion. This is not recovery. This is laziness, and it is destroying you. Rest is good for the body. Rest is necessary. But laziness is not rest. Rest gives back energy. Laziness drains it. Rest heals. Laziness suffocates. You must separate them in your mind. One makes you stronger. The other makes you weaker. Every day you give in to laziness, the world keeps moving without you. Others are building, others are growing, others are reaching the heights you dream about while you hesitate. And one day when you look back, you will see the painful distance between who you are and who you could have been. That regret will be heavier than any work you avoided. But here's the reward waiting for you if you break free: the joy of progress, the strength of discipline, the pride of knowing you refused to waste your life. Imagine how it feels to take back control, to see yourself finally move, finally grow, finally conquer the enemy that has been holding you down. That feeling is worth every effort. That victory is worth every struggle. Stay here, stay with me, because together we are going to kill your laziness, and once you do, nothing will be able to stop you. Laziness survives on lies. It tells you there will always be more time. It convinces you that waiting is harmless, that delaying is no big deal. But the truth is brutal. Time does not pause for you. The clock is moving whether you act or not. Every minute you waste becomes fuel for regret. Every choice to remain still pushes your future further away. You cannot negotiate with time. You cannot buy back what you lost. The only power you have is right now, in this moment, to decide whether you let laziness control you or you take back control. When you give in to laziness, you are not only losing time, you are losing belief in yourself. Every time you say you will do something and you don't, your brain remembers. You are teaching yourself that your own words mean nothing. You are teaching yourself that your promises cannot be trusted. And slowly, your confidence dies. The longer you stay in this cycle, the more powerless you feel. This is why laziness is not just a habit, it is a self-destruction mechanism. It erases your trust in yourself. And once you no longer believe in your own word, you stop dreaming, you stop fighting, you stop living with fire. But it does not have to stay this way. Science proves that the fastest way to rebuild self-trust is through small, consistent actions. Not giant leaps, not perfect execution, but simple, repeated wins. Every time you resist laziness and take action, no matter how small, you are sending a signal to your brain: I can count on myself. That signal is power. That signal rebuilds confidence, step by step, layer by layer, until your identity changes. You stop seeing yourself as lazy and start seeing yourself as disciplined, capable, unstoppable. You do not need to wait for motivation to act. Motivation is unreliable. It rises and falls. It depends on mood, on energy, on circumstance. But discipline is different. Discipline is a choice you make regardless of how you feel. Discipline means acting when it is uncomfortable, showing up when it is easier not to, pushing forward when every part of you screams to stop. That is how you kill laziness, not by waiting to feel ready, but by moving before readiness arrives. The reward of this shift is life-changing. Imagine looking in the mirror and knowing you can trust yourself again. Imagine waking up and moving with energy because action is no longer a struggle, it is your natural state. Imagine the pride of progress, the momentum of discipline, the strength of becoming a person who does not wait, who does not hesitate, who does not waste another day. That transformation is not far away. It is waiting for the moment you decide that laziness is no longer your master. The more you act, the more power you feel. Action creates energy. Action creates clarity. Action creates confidence. The cycle of laziness weakens the moment you break it once, and every time you break it again, you are building an unshakable foundation inside yourself. This is how freedom is won, not in dramatic bursts, but in daily victories against the voice that tells you to wait. You are not meant to live trapped in hesitation. You are meant to rise, to fight, to move with purpose. Every second you choose action over laziness, you reclaim a piece of your life. And when those seconds add up, they become the life you were always meant to live. Laziness thrives in the gap between intention and action. You think about what you want, you imagine the result, but you hesitate to begin. That hesitation is where laziness lives. The longer you allow that gap to exist, the louder laziness becomes, and soon it convinces you to settle for less than you deserve. But the instant you close the gap and act, even in the smallest way, laziness loses its grip. This is why decisive action is so powerful. Not tomorrow, not later, but now. Because once you move, momentum builds, and momentum is stronger than laziness. Psychologists call it activation energy, the initial push required to start any task. The hardest part is not the work itself. It is overcoming the resistance at the beginning. Once you start, the task feels lighter, your brain adjusts, and progress flows. Laziness magnifies the beginning, making it look heavier than it truly is, so you avoid it. But if you can break through those first few minutes, you shift the balance. Action becomes easier than inaction. You prove to yourself that the wait was an illusion. The danger is believing the illusion. Laziness feeds you thoughts like, it's too hard, it will take too long, or I'll do better tomorrow. These are lies designed to paralyze you. The reality is that almost everything feels smaller once you begin. The task you avoided for days can be finished in an hour. The workout you feared becomes energy for your body. The study session you delayed brings clarity you didn't expect. Laziness doesn't protect you from difficulty. It keeps you chained to weakness. You must train your mind to act before laziness has time to speak. The window between thought and action must shrink. The faster you move, the less room laziness has to control you. Make it a rule: when you decide, you move. When you feel resistance, you start. Do not wait for comfort. Do not wait for perfect conditions, because they will never arrive. Action itself creates the conditions you need. The reward of living this way is unstoppable momentum. Each time you overcome laziness, you reinforce the identity of someone who follows through. That identity fuels pride. It fuels respect for yourself. And when you respect yourself, everything in life changes. Your choices, your energy, your relationships, your opportunities. People can sense the difference between someone who hesitates and someone who acts. Discipline radiates strength, and strength attracts success. There is no greater freedom than knowing you can depend on yourself. Imagine waking up each day without the weight of unfinished tasks pressing on your mind. Imagine feeling light because you act quickly, you move forward, you refuse to let laziness stall your growth. That is not a fantasy. That is a reality available to you the moment you decide to stop hesitating. The enemy is not the work. The enemy is the waiting. Kill the waiting, and laziness dies with it. Replace hesitation with movement, and you will discover that the future you wanted is not as far away as it once seemed. The distance shrinks with every step you take, and soon the life you thought was out of reach becomes the life you are living. All it takes is the courage to act now. Laziness feeds on comfort, and comfort is the most dangerous trap a human being can fall into. The body loves what is easy, the mind craves what is familiar, and the heart wants the illusion of safety. But growth never lives in comfort. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it is the slow death of ambition, the silent destroyer of potential. The truth is harsh. If you spend your life chasing comfort, you will never taste greatness. Every achievement, every transformation, every dream realized is born out of discomfort. It is built in the moments when you step into resistance and refuse to back down. Psychology reveals that the human brain is wired for survival, not success. It seeks to conserve energy, to avoid pain, to protect you from risk. That is why laziness feels natural. It is your brain trying to keep you safe. But safety is not living. Safety without challenge is stagnation, and stagnation is decay. You were not built to merely survive. You were built to create, to conquer, to grow beyond the limits of yesterday. That means you must train yourself to lean into discomfort, not away from it. Every time you choose discomfort over ease, you are breaking laziness at its core. You are telling your brain that growth is more important than temporary pleasure. You are proving to yourself that you are not controlled by impulse, but guided by purpose. This shift is powerful. It transforms the way you see challenge. Pain becomes progress. Struggle becomes strength. Discomfort becomes the sign that you are alive, moving, becoming more. Laziness cannot survive in a mind that welcomes discomfort, because laziness only lives where comfort is king. Think of the times you pushed yourself when you didn't want to. The workout you started tired, the task you began unprepared, the goal you pursued despite fear. Those are the moments that gave you energy, clarity, confidence. That is not coincidence. That is the natural law of growth. What feels hard today becomes your strength tomorrow. Laziness wants you to forget this law. It wants you to believe comfort will give you peace. But comfort gives only regret, because the soul knows you were made for more. You must choose to harden your mind against the softness of comfort. Not because comfort is evil, but because too much of it weakens you. A soft mind cannot handle adversity. A weak body cannot endure challenge. A lazy spirit cannot chase big dreams. But when you embrace discomfort daily, you build resilience. You build the kind of inner power that makes laziness impossible to sustain. Discomfort becomes fuel. Struggle becomes satisfaction. The very things you once avoided become the source of your pride. Imagine living this way, no longer afraid of what is hard, no longer running from what challenges you. Imagine waking up with a fire inside because you know the struggle ahead will shape you into something greater. That is freedom. That is power. That is the death of laziness. You cannot kill laziness by wishing it away. You kill it by starving its source. Starve comfort, starve ease, starve the illusion that safety will bring you happiness. Replace it with challenge. Replace it with discipline. Replace it with the relentless pursuit of growth. Because the truth is simple. The life you want is waiting just beyond the walls of your comfort zone. And the moment you step beyond those walls, laziness has no place left to hide. The greatest weapon against laziness is clarity. A mind without clear direction will always choose the path of least resistance. When you do not know exactly what you want, laziness takes over because it has no competition. The brain defaults to comfort when the vision is blurry. But when your vision is sharp, when your goals are vivid, laziness has no place to hide. Clarity is energy. Clarity is fire. It pulls you forward with a force greater than resistance. Too many people remain stuck not because they lack discipline, but because they lack purpose. They wake up without a target, so every day feels the same. Without a target, there is no urgency. Without urgency, there is no action. And when there is no action, laziness thrives. This is why defining your goals is not optional. It is survival. You must give your mind a mission so powerful that laziness cannot compete with it. Neuroscience shows that the brain is wired to focus on what feels meaningful. When you create a clear goal and attach strong emotion to it, your brain begins filtering the world to help you achieve it. It notices opportunities. It pushes you to act. It reminds you why the struggle matters. This is the opposite of laziness. Laziness happens when the mind cannot see why effort is worth it. Purpose destroys that illusion. Purpose makes effort meaningful. Ask yourself, what do you truly want? Not what is easy, not what others expect, but what sets your soul on fire. The answer must be clear, specific, undeniable. You cannot defeat laziness with vague wishes like I want to do better or I want to improve. Vague desires produce vague actions, and vague actions fuel laziness. Instead, carve your vision into something so sharp that every fiber of your being knows where you are going. Once you know, you must remind yourself daily. Write it, speak it, visualize it, burn it into your mind until it becomes your identity, because laziness will try to distract you. But if your vision is alive in you, it will pull you back on track every time. This is why people with strong purpose appear unstoppable. It is not that they never feel lazy, it is that their purpose is stronger than their excuses. The reward of clarity is that life gains meaning. You stop drifting, you stop wasting days. You wake up knowing exactly why you must move, why you cannot delay, why laziness is not an option. Every step becomes progress towards something real. Every action carries weight. And this sense of progress is one of the most powerful human motivators. Progress fuels happiness. Progress fuels confidence. Progress is the antidote to laziness. Without vision, you will always fall to comfort. With vision, you rise with power. The difference between those who achieve and those who waste away is not talent, not luck, not resources. It is clarity. Clear purpose creates unstoppable energy. And when that energy is alive in you, laziness dies because it cannot compete with the fire of a focused mind. This is the turning point. This is where you stop wandering. This is where you decide what matters so deeply that laziness becomes impossible. Your future demands clarity, and when you claim it, you gain the strength to break free from every chain holding you back. Clarity gives you direction, but discipline is what carries you there. Without discipline, even the sharpest vision remains a dream. Laziness will always test your resolve, waiting for the moment your emotions fade, waiting for the day you don't feel like showing up. That is why you cannot rely on mood. Feelings change, energy shifts, motivation rises and falls. But discipline is a choice, and choices build character. When you decide to act regardless of how you feel, you take away laziness's greatest weapon, the ability to control you through comfort. Discipline is not about punishing yourself. It is about protecting your future. Every disciplined action is a deposit into the life you want to live. Every time you resist laziness, you are voting for the person you are becoming. These votes add up. They form your identity. And once your identity shifts, laziness loses power because it no longer aligns with who you are. You are no longer someone who skips, delays, or settles. You are someone who acts, someone who finishes, someone who moves forward no matter what. Research shows that willpower works like a muscle. It grows stronger the more you use it. The first moments of discipline feel heavy, but the more you practice, the lighter it becomes. This is why small, consistent victories matter. They train your mind to act without debate. They create habits that bypass the need for motivation. Laziness thrives on hesitation, but habits eliminate hesitation by replacing thought with automatic action. The secret is to anchor your discipline in your identity. Stop saying, I want to be disciplined. Start saying, I am disciplined. The brain aligns with what you believe about yourself. If you see yourself as weak, laziness will win. If you see yourself as strong, every action reinforces that strength. Identity is powerful because it removes the constant inner fight. You don't argue with yourself about whether you should act. You act because it's who you are. The reward of discipline is freedom. Most people think discipline is restriction, but it is the opposite. Laziness makes you a prisoner. Discipline sets you free, free from regret, free from wasted time, free from the heaviness of unfulfilled potential. With discipline, you create structure, and within that structure, you gain the power to achieve anything you desire. The mind becomes clear, the body becomes strong, and your future becomes something you can trust yourself to build. Imagine waking up every day knowing you will follow through, no matter what. Imagine the pride of completing tasks that once felt impossible. Imagine the energy of momentum pushing you forward, faster and stronger with each step. That is what discipline creates. That is the life waiting for you beyond laziness. Every action you take in discipline is a declaration of war against weakness. Every choice to push through is proof that you refuse to be controlled by the part of you that wants comfort more than growth. And each victory, no matter how small, is a crack in the walls of laziness until those walls finally collapse. You have the power to make discipline your default. You have the ability to rewire your brain, to kill hesitation, to silence excuses. It will not happen by accident. It will happen through choice. The choice to rise every time laziness tries to pull you down. The choice to act when it is easier not to. The choice to demand more from yourself than comfort will ever offer. That is the choice that kills laziness and builds a life worth living. Discipline transforms you, but it cannot exist without accountability. Laziness thrives in isolation. When no one knows your promises, it becomes easy to break them. When no one sees your delays, excuses multiply. But when you create accountability, laziness loses its hiding place. Accountability forces you to face your word. It raises the standard. It keeps you honest when your mind tries to negotiate for comfort. Accountability begins with yourself. Look in the mirror and confront the truth. Ask if the person staring back is living with integrity or living with excuses. This confrontation is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. You cannot defeat laziness while lying to yourself. Radical honesty is the foundation of accountability. The moment you admit where you are weak, you give yourself the chance to become strong. The moment you admit where you have been lazy, you open the door to discipline. Yet self-accountability alone is not enough. The human brain is wired to respond to social pressure. When others know your commitments, the weight of expectation drives you to follow through. Share your goals with people who demand the best from you, not those who enable your excuses. Surround yourself with discipline, with ambition, with energy that elevates you. Laziness cannot survive in an environment where excellence is the norm. Your circle matters. It either feeds your weakness or fuels your strength. Choose wisely. Studies show that people who make public commitments are far more likely to achieve their goals. This is not about pride. It is about creating external stakes. When you say your intention out loud, when you declare your vision, laziness loses one of its greatest weapons, secrecy. Silence protects laziness. Exposure destroys it. Speak your goals, write them down, track your progress, make your growth visible. The more visible it is, the harder it becomes to hide behind laziness. The reward of accountability is trust. Not only trust from others, but trust in yourself. Each time you honor your word, you strengthen your self-respect. And self-respect is the ultimate defense against laziness. People who respect themselves do not tolerate wasted time, wasted energy, wasted potential. They live with urgency because they know their worth. They act with consistency because their identity demands it. Imagine living with that level of accountability. Imagine never needing to fear whether you will quit, because quitting is no longer an option in your identity. Imagine the strength of knowing you cannot hide from your commitments, because they are bigger than your excuses. That is power. That is freedom. That is the death of laziness. Laziness survives in shadows. It thrives in quiet corners where no one is watching. But when you step into the light of accountability, it shrinks. It cannot stand in the open. It cannot survive under the weight of integrity. Every time you hold yourself to a higher standard, every time you let others hold you to that standard, laziness weakens until it has no voice left. You are not here to live half alive. You are here to rise, to honor your word, to respect your potential. Accountability is not a burden. It is the bridge between who you are and who you are meant to be. Cross that bridge and laziness will have no power over you again. Accountability strengthens you, but the battle against laziness is ultimately won in the choices you make each day. Life is built in the small moments, the ordinary decisions where you either rise or you surrender. Laziness does not strike in grand battles. It seeps in quietly, whispering when no one is looking. It is in the instant you choose the couch over progress, the scroll over study, the excuse over effort. These small choices accumulate, shaping the direction of your life. But the same is true for discipline. Every small choice to act, every moment you reject the comfort of laziness, compounds into strength, pride, and unstoppable momentum. Psychology calls this the compound effect, the principle that tiny, repeated actions build massive results over time. Laziness wants you to ignore this truth. It tells you small steps don't matter. It convinces you that one skipped task, one wasted day, one broken promise is harmless. But every small surrender trains your brain to surrender again. Every time you give in, the habit of laziness deepens its roots. And every time you resist, the habit of discipline grows stronger. You are always training yourself in one direction or the other. There is no neutral. This is why consistency is everything. Discipline once in a while is not enough. Energy once in a while is not enough. Transformation demands daily commitment. Even when it feels small, even when it feels insignificant, every consistent action is a declaration of who you are becoming. Consistency is the shield that laziness cannot penetrate. because laziness thrives in gaps, in inconsistency, in the moments where effort is missing. When you refuse to break your chain of discipline, laziness has no room to return. The beauty of consistency is that it creates momentum, and momentum is the most powerful force in personal growth. Momentum makes action automatic. It turns discipline into habit and habit into identity. The more consistent you are, the less effort it takes to continue. What once felt heavy becomes natural. What once felt impossible becomes normal. Laziness loses its grip not because it disappears, but because your momentum makes it irrelevant. The reward of living with consistency is progress that compounds faster than you imagine. At first, results seem small. You may not see change instantly, but stay consistent and time becomes your ally. Every day you act, you are stacking bricks. One by one, they build a foundation unshakable by laziness, unshakable by doubt. And suddenly, what was once invisible becomes undeniable. Growth appears, strength appears, confidence appears. And laziness no longer even feels like an option because the life you are building is too valuable to risk losing. Imagine how it feels to look back and see the evidence of your discipline piled high, day after day, choice after choice, effort after effort. Imagine the pride of knowing you did not let laziness win, not once, not twice, but hundreds of times until it no longer had any claim over your life. That pride cannot be bought, it cannot be faked, it can only be earned through relentless consistency. Every moment matters. Every choice matters. Every day is a vote for the life you want or the life you waste. Laziness dies not in one big victory, but in the daily, repeated choices to move, to act, to show up. And when you live with that kind of consistency, nothing, not fear, not doubt, not weakness, can stop the person you are becoming. Consistency shapes your habits, but what truly locks the door on laziness is urgency. Too many people live as if they have endless time, as if tomorrow is guaranteed, as if opportunities will wait patiently until they feel ready. This illusion is the oxygen laziness breathes. It convinces you that delay is safe, that postponement has no cost, but the truth is brutal. Time does not pause, and life does not wait. Every moment wasted is gone forever. Every chance ignored may never return. When you live without urgency, you are quietly handing your future to laziness. Urgency is the realization that your days are limited, that every sunrise is one less you will ever see. This is not meant to scare you, but to wake you up. Mortality is the ultimate motivator because it strips away the lie of infinite time. You cannot afford to wait for the perfect mood, the perfect day, the perfect conditions. There is no perfect moment. There is only now. And now is the only weapon strong enough to kill laziness. Studies in psychology show that people act faster and with more consistency when they attach deadlines and stakes to their goals. The human mind is designed to respond to urgency. Without it, focus fades. With it, clarity sharpens. When you believe time is abundant, you drift. When you know time is scarce, you move with intensity. Laziness cannot survive in a mind that understands the value of every second. Ask yourself honestly, how many years have you already lost to hesitation? How many chances have you watched slip away because you thought you had more time? Do you really want to keep living that way, postponing the life you were meant to live until there is nothing left to postpone? The regret of wasted time is heavier than any discomfort discipline will ever demand from you. But the reward of urgency is priceless. It is the energy that makes every day meaningful, every action powerful, every step forward filled with purpose. Urgency is not panic. It is not rushing blindly. It is a steady fire inside you, reminding you that life is short and your potential is sacred. It pushes you to act today, to move now, to build momentum without delay. It eliminates excuses, because excuses cannot stand against the truth of limited time. Excuses dissolve when you understand that every day wasted is a piece of your future sacrificed. The reward of living with urgency is freedom from regret. It is the peace of knowing you did not waste the gifts you were given. It is the strength of looking back one day and realizing you lived fully, you acted boldly, you refused to let laziness steal your life. That peace is only possible if you choose urgency now, not later. Imagine waking up each morning with the awareness that this day is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Imagine moving with such intensity that laziness doesn't even have the space to whisper in your ear. Imagine living in such alignment with urgency that every action feels like a step toward destiny. That is the life you create when you stop waiting, when you stop delaying, when you choose to act as if time is precious, because it is. And the moment you embrace urgency, laziness has no power left.